topic today, as the screen shows, is Khalsa and Sri Gur Sobha. And before I begin, what I would like to actually do is share with you, I'm going to actually recite author's opening of the chapter 5, the way he does it. And in the way he's written it, it says, Pur Anand Guru Gobind Singh, Ab Kab Karat Bakhan, Gird Pahar Aparyat, Satluj Tat Subthan. So what he's saying here is that he is describing the scene at Anandpur. And the way he's putting it, Pur Anand Guru Gobind Singh, that in Anandpur is Guru Gobind Singh, Ab Kab Karat Bakhan, and the poet, the Kavi, now is going to describe to you what he's witnessing. And where is he witnessing all this? Gird Pahar Aparyat. All around are the mountains, the hill ranges. On the screen, you can see where roughly Anandpur Sahib is located. And Satluj Tat Subthan, that he is in the vicinity on the banks of the Satluj. Now, this is important for us to understand that geographically, he's describing where all this is happening and he's witnessing all this. And when he started this particular text, this Granth, this volume, he actually says, I've thought a lot about it, what to call it. And what he says is, Gur Sobha ya Granth ko taroso naam bichar. He says, I really have reflected on what to name this. Because, you know, poets and authors of different kinds have reasons. You know, there is now all sort of consultancies go into play these days on as to what to name a book for a particular purpose. And he says, I've really thought about this. Sunat kahat gat hot hai, man antar urtan. I've thought about it, I've recited it, and I'm hoping to become free. And within my mind, I have taken all this. And after considering all these things, I decided to call this Gur Sobha ya Granth ko taroso naam bichar. Soba is praise. I like to say it's a splendor. This is part of the larger, what they call Bilas traditions of Gurbani secondary or the Sikhi secondary sources. So this is where I'm also going to come from in this. I want to look at what author is most interested in. And this author is an eyewitness account. He's at the Darbar of Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj in Anandpur Sahib, surrounded by the mountains at the banks of Satluj River. So what does he have to say? Who is this person and what is this text? Let's talk about that quickly. The most popular name is Sainapat. Now, what we know is that he is one of the 52 court poets of Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj Darbar. As we used to say, the Paonta Darbar started and continued into various vicinities, including in the city of Anandpur Sahib. He is listed by some authors much later as a Darbari Kavi. Darbari Kavi will be a court poet. For example, I think it was Pyara Singh Padam who called him Darbari Kavi. What we do know is that he's from Lahore, and which is in Punjab, obviously. And there are different names. There is a whole varieties of names which come into play as to who really this Sainapati is. And sometimes, and there's a general agreement on these, but I just want to share because this is not the main purpose. This is for us to know who are we talking about, who is this individual. Sometimes he's referred to as Chandar San Man, San Kavi, Kavi Sainapat, Sana Singh, as a Takhallas, as a Khalsa as well. And all of those names have been used, some in collaborations and some by academics and some by theologians who are studying these things. What we do know is that he was proficient in Gurmukhi script and in the Sanskrit language, and we'll talk about the language of the text itself. Now, this is very, very important. Actually, he dates it when he started this work, which is very, very important for us to know, because this is, he's telling us it's 1701. And in fact, he wrote a whole verse on it. Sammat 17 sah paye, barakh 58 beet, pavad sud 15 pai, rachi katha kar preet. In love, he says, kar preet, rachi katha par preet. In love, I write this narrative on the, when the 1758 years have expired, which means that's what has passed. And the Bikrami Sammat calendar, it's the 15th day of month of Pado. So what we know is, how do we know when he started? Because he himself has written it. Now, when he completed this work, we are not sure. There is a range which academics and those who study this text have given the dates anywhere from 1711 to 1742. I'm just going to share that I believe it is actually sometime in 1708, maybe 1709, because in this text, what we discover is he is actually finishing the text right after Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj leaves this earth. Now, he is a contemporary eyewitness. This is very important because he started in 1701, and this is why where he's locating himself in this volume in Sri Gur Sobha is very, very important. His number one thing he wrote, he says, "Main ta preet vich katha likh raha." So it's all about understanding Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj in love. And he presents Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj both at a divine level, at a human level. And he focuses on this. One other side note about the Sainapat, and particularly this text, is that there is a text named as Guru Ratanmal, which actually references that the 10th Guru actually corrected this text, which is interesting in itself because you see this sort of idea in Guru Granth Sahib, but you don't see this idea or being referenced even outside of Guru Granth Sahib. So Guru Ratanmal, popularly known as Vaisakhi, says this was corrected by the Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj. Now, what is this text? Well, Sri Gur Sobha is the name, which is splendor of the revered Guru is one way to present it. Sri is the term of endearment. It's reverential. It is also like idea of sir. You know, there is a level of authority attached to it. Gur is Guru, and Sobha is praise or splendor or things of that nature. I've already recited the original line where he says, "I've named this volume Gur Sobha after incredible reflection." So within this text, he utilizes only Gurmukhi script, but the language is what we will today say some combination of Punjabi and Braj language. It has 20 chapters. Depending on which version we go by, I try to study the two original ones. There are either 934 verses or 935 verses, but it employs multiple poetic stanza styles. What I mean is, generally what we call couplets or padas, but I actually want to give you a flavor of that. That this is a very, from a literary perspective, it is talking, it employs chaupai and dohre and kabit and paudis and savaiyas and the sorathas and multiple styles of chands. I listed few of them here, including some of them we have seen in other secondary texts, Pujang Priya Chand or Chappe or Naraj or Rasaval and things of that nature. So the point is, even as a poetic genre, this is incredibly vast. It has historical elements, it has traditional elements. What I mean by that is, this is not written by somebody who's doing PhD and their job is not to just historically verify everything, because he's eyewitness account, and he's also talking about lots of traditions of Sikhi which are in line from Guru Nanak Padsha onwards. So his focus is actually on what I'm calling on events, principles, and interactions. And what do I mean by that? He picks the events he wants to talk about, which in itself is important because he's eyewitness, court poet, and possibly corrected by Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj himself. So events matter, which ones he focuses on, which principles, or what we generally call Gurmat traditions, and his interactions or the Sikh interactions of the time, including when there are tough scenarios, what are they doing? And very clearly, as far as I can tell, this seems to be the first literary or in writing granth available, which actually establishes that the successor of Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj is Guru Granth Sahib and Guru Khalsa Panth, which again is a very mainstream idea now. Well, sometimes people in mainstream are not aware of it, but academically and historically and among Sikh theologians is acceptable, very much accepted. There are outliers who don't accept this, but this text also establishes this very well. There's an incredible focus on that there are no more Mahants. Khalsa has replaced the Mahant, and there is no goddess invoked in this text, which we'll talk about a little later. And this is, again, there's a verse which he focuses on, which is very important, that what Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj has done is in line with what Guru Nanak onwards each of the Guru had done. Now, this is very, very important because when people are studying Sikhs or Sikh history, many of them say Guru Nanak did something different, the next 4 Gurus did something different, and the next 5 made it more militant. Vocabulary like that is involved. Or they'll say there was an evolution or a transformation. These are the terms used by people who study Sikhs. But Guru Granth Sahib does not believe this. And this text also does not believe this, because in this text, he says the legacy of Guru Nanak through Guru Tegh Bahadur Maharaj is also presented to Guru Gobind Singh, and it is further presented to Panth and the Granth. Now, I want to mention that when it says V46, that's the verse number 46, where he says, "Tu hi Guru Nanak hai, tu hi Guru Angad hai, tu hi Guru Amardas, Ramdas tu hi hai. तू ही गुरु अर्जन है, तू ही गुरु हर गोबिंद, तू ही गुरु हर राय, हर कृष्ण तू ही है। नावी पातशाही हुआ तै कल ही मैं कला राखी, तेग ही बहादुर जग चादर सब तू ही है। 10वां पातशाह तू ही गुरु गोबिंद सिंह, जगत के उधार वे को आयो प्रभ तू ही है." Two things I want to mention here. This is what Bhai Nandalal Goya also says. This is what Bhai Gurdas also says. This is what Guru Granth Sahib also says. But interestingly, when he mentions Guru Tegh Bahadur Padshah, he says, "Tegh hi Bahadur, jag chadar sab tu hi hai." So that is not Dharam di chadar or Hind di chadar. This is Jagat di chadar. Very, very important for us to understand. So the focus of Sri Gur Sobha is talking about the past, how the light was transferred and how the sovereignty was transferred, and he brings it all the way to present, implying that Shabad and the collective Khalsa, Guru Granth and Guru Gobind Singh, this is Guru Granth and Guru Panth, is how the sovereignty and the light still continues. And some authors have called that activities of the state, which I can get into a little later. Okay, so what's the focus today with all that background? The focus today is to understand what the Khalsa is in this text. And I'm going to focus on 3 chapters. And those 3 chapters are Bacan Pragas. Adhyay is what he calls it. Adhyay is something like a chapter. And the first one is Bacan Pragas. And then Bacan Bicar and Rahit Pragas. And by the way, when it's only C, that sound is chacha, because CH sound linguistically is chacha. So if that's bothering some of you, I understand, but we're trying to go by what the norms in linguistic realities are as well. So in those 3 texts, I'm gonna cite certain things to talk about what the Khalsa is, what the Rahat of the Khalsa is, and what are the challenges right after the Vaisakhi of 1699, when the Khalsa and the Rahat comes about, which are being faced by the Sikh community at the time. Okay, so let's start with that chapter 5 and how the chapter starts. I actually read you the first lines of this, but I want to give you a little bit more flavor. And by these translations are mine. I did study 2 English translations. I did look at 2 published versions of this, and I'm showing those throughout the slides. On the left, like this one, I'm showing a picture of Shamsher Singh Ashok's version, and then Ganda Singh's version is another one, and those are the 2 texts available. Now, so Guru Gobind Singh at Anandpur, now the poet describes, this is a very limited sort of a translation. This is not poetic, it's missing a bunch of things, but I've tried to capture the letter, the intention and the spirit of what the author is trying to tell us. And then he's also telling us what is happening. He says the Chet month has passed. An endless mela is held. Now, I've kept certain words because I want to describe those words. Mela, because today we also talk about Vaisakhi melas. So mela has lots of different elements to it. Mela has these excitement elements. Mela has this gathering elements. Mela has these jashan or celebratory elements. And he says, Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj, Chet month has passed, which means this is 1 Vaisakh. On the day of Vaisakhi, endless mela held, which means it's a huge mela. On Vaisakhi's vision, eternal Guru reflected. Now, Vaisakhi ke daras pe Satgur kiyo bichar. On daras, I have written vision here. That could be anything you would like, but it's a vision of Vaisakhi. The Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj is already Satgur. And by the way, Sri Gur Sobha continuously uses the word Satgur, and some other time it uses other nouns or adjectives to describe Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj. So I've tried to keep those. He says, all Sangat received darshan from many cities and cities, which means people came from various places, Nagar Bisthar, and compassionate gave darshan, doer and creator. Sainapat is saying, Hai Dayal darshan diyo, Karanhar Kartar. So he's calling Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj the doer and the creator as well. Gobind Singh is delighted, Sangat feels joyous. Then Khalsa was revealed, eliminated all entanglements, all entire Sangat gathered on a spacious Satluj bank. Many listened, became Khalsa. Many remained restless. This is very important for us to understand here. Ketak sun pai Khalsa, Ketak pai adhir. So obviously, when things like this happen, not everyone's going to follow. Khalsa, when it was revealed, Kiyo Pragat Tab Khalsa, Chukyo Sarab Janjal. So Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj has revealed the Khalsa, and some people listened and became Khalsa, but many became restless. Reject Masands. This is so clear. Now, once the Khalsa is revealed, what is Guru Sahib saying? He says, Taj Masand Prab Ek Jap. Taj Masand, reject the Masands. Remember the one divine. This wisdom declared there. And those who followed that wisdom, that follower meet the eternal Guru. Follower meets the eternal Guru as fish within water. So Satgur Sevak Mile, Neer Mad Jayo Meen. Recognize that eternal Sangat where there is wisdom reflection. So where is Sat Sangat? Where people are reflecting on this, the wisdom which Guru declared. This isn't received without fortune. World knows this. Discipline of all worship. So when talking about what should we do, what is the discipline, what is the rahat? He says, So Satsangat janiye jah bibek bichar, bin pagan neh paiye, janat hai sansar, name karat puja sakal, ek naam Gobind, एक बार मुक्ते कहो होत अनेक आनंद एक आनंद नहीं आ रहा add Anandpur Sahib at this place of blisswell. He says you can have name karat puja sakal, you can have all the disciplines of worship. What matters is ek naam Gobind, and if you say that ek naam ek baar mukte kaho hot anek anand. So the line which I want to again go back to a little bit, if you are looking on screen on 121, it says, all entire Sangat gathered on auspicious Satluj bank. Sab samu Sangat mili, sub Satluj ke tir. Which means, those people who came from cities and cities, Nagars and Nagar Bistar, they all gathered there. They listened to the Guru. The Khalsa was revealed. The two things which were sort of were Masands are rejected, and they should focus on the wisdom of remembering the divine, one divine. And this is how you become Sikh and the Guru become one. And a whole Sangat was asked to do this. Some followed it, some didn't. Now, interestingly, because the Masand word is invoked, which Sri Gur Sobha used quite a bit, this is about revenues. Masands used to collect revenues. They were Masnade Ali is how it started. Agents of the Ali, the term is used in historical traditions to describe where the word Masand comes from. This is not in this text. This text is just describing the Masands. And Masnad used to be an agent. So Masand is an agent. In this case, they were agents of the Guru, started at the time of Guru Arjan Sahib. And what Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj says very clearly here after the Khalsa has replaced the Masands, which means Mannat, Golak, and Daswand. I want to focus on all three. Mannat is, the original text says, Mannat, Golak, ar Daswand. Karmbe rakho tajo Masand. Pet kar Satgur ki hoye. Jai Hajur chadave soye. Hajur, I've translated in this case presence. Hazur can also mean the beloved. Hajur can also mean the sovereign. Hazur, the literal meaning, the one whose presence you feel. So he says mannat. Mannat is when people say, I would like to do this. Golak is the funds which are, mannat is when people are giving their offerings personal level. Golak for a particular occasion or a particular something in their mind. Mandevich, mannat. Something in their mind they had thought of and they wanted to offer. Golak is ever available, just like we have Golaks and Gurdwaras. And Daswand is sort of like your, tithing kind of idea. He says, keep all this at home. Don't give it to Masands. They have been rejected because they are corrupt. They are aligned with the state, and all these things are available. We can talk about it. This is, he's saying, do not offer any form of monetary offering to the Masands anymore. They're all for Satgur. Offerings are for eternal Guru, and you must personally go and present them in the presence of the Hajur. And what is the Guru's hukum that day to everyone? Hukum is command. Hukum is also used, if you look at in the South Asian tradition, it can refer to, in Gurbani also, it refers to the divine order. For us, the divine order or the hukum of the day comes through Gurbani, through Gurus. So what is the Guru's hukum that day? Guru's hukum is When cause effect eternal Guru declared, Kiyo jad bachan Satguru karan karan, Sarab Sangat Adant Mera Khalsa. All Sangat from beginning to end is my Khalsa. So he's defined the Sangat in concrete terms because, we still have these debates. What is Sangat? What is Kusangat? What is Sat Sangat? What is Sat Sangat? And there, all these words are employed in Guru Granth Sahib Maharaj. Here, when it's concretizing, when the hukum is being declared, the way Sainapat has captured that is, Kiyo jad bachan Satguru karan karan, Sarab Sangat Ad Ant Mera Khalsa. Sangat from all times is now the Khalsa. So what happens? Those who follow hukum, manega hukum, so te hovega Sikh sahi. Na manega hukum, so to hovega behalsa. Jada hukum mannuga, the one who follows the hukum will be Sikh sahi. Correct is what I've written for sahi. I don't want to write, acceptable or right. I don't know the exact term, but sahi is the word used. Will be the correct Sikh, which means you have to correct yourself. Those who follow the hukum are the correct Sikhs. Those who don't follow the hukum are behalsas. And there are different ways to look at what behalsa is. They're bereft or wretched or basically something less. They're missing things. And then it clarifies further. Panch ki kusangat taj sangat so preet kare, daya aur dharam tar tyage sab lalsa. They reject kusangat of 5, and I'll discuss what that 5 is. In Gurbani, they are 5, but here, remember, sangat is concrete. And we'll talk about who the 5 are at the time of Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj. He says they reject the sangat of the 5. They love the sangat, which is the Khalsa, and they bring compassion and dharam into them, and they renounce all other longings. And what else they don't do? Hukka na pive, sees dadi na mundave, soto vahaguru, vahaguru, vahaguru ji ka Khalsa. They don't smoke hookah, and hookah bars are everywhere these days. So it's, you know what it is. It's basically one way to consume tobacco, and they don't shave head and beard. They are the Khalsa of Vahaguru, Vahaguru, Vahaguru. I've kept as the author has written. I should mention that there are 2 variations of texts available. One produced by Dr. Ganda Singh, edited by, I should say, and one edited by Shamsher Singh Ashok. For my purposes, I've stuck to the version in Shamsher Singh Ashok's. And this is how it's written. Okay, so this is the order of the Guru, the hukum of the Gurus. When we talk about hukumnames were issued, this is one of the hukums of Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj on the Vaisakhi day when the Khalsa is inaugurated. So let's capture some of this. What does all this mean? Well, kusangats. The 5 kusangats which are historically cited are Minas. We have to understand these terms because they were all against the Guru. Who were the Minas? Minas were against Guru Arjan Sahib. Minas were headed by Prithi Chand. Prithi Chand was the elder son of Guru Ramdas Sahib and the brother of Guru Arjan Sahib. Tirmaliyas. Tirmaliyas were at the time of Guru Har Rai Sahib, headed by Tirmal. Tirmal is a grandson of Guru Har Gobind Sahib and a brother of Guru Har Rai Sahib. So all of these guys are either creating alternative granths, alternative wisdom through alternative shabad, if you want to call it, and many a time they're working with the religious and political authorities of the time, which essentially means the other religious heads, or they're creating themselves to be the Gaddi Nashin or the gurus because of successions, lineage successions, or they're working with the state to eliminate the actual gurus. Ram Raiyas are the times at the time of Guru Harkrishan Sahib, headed by Ram Rai, who's the elder son of Guru Har Rai Sahib, and he's a brother of Guru Harkrishan Sahib. So you can see how it is familial, but it is not limited to lineage family. It actually is working with the other religious and political authorities to counter the Guru's authority. And this continues, by the way, all the time. And then 4th ones are Masands, who were let go at the time. They started at the time of Guru Arjan Sahib. And then 5th ones are Kudimars. This is very, very important. Equally important today. All of these are equally important today. 5th one, especially so, because we debate about what the Guru's orders are, or we have not as clarity. Sometimes we would say, well, it could mean this and it could mean that. Here is one word which there is no dissension on, that anyone who is participating in female infanticide for at any level, from feticide to abuses and killing them physically. They are not two. These are the Co-sanghas. These are the real Co-sanghas for the Khalsa. And Khalsa is the Sangat as Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj presented according to Sri Gur Sobha's Sainapat. So what have we learned so far? Some ideas regarding these, because I cannot cover the whole text. They've given Vaisakhi Day details. They have shown that we are getting rid of the Masands as middlemen because they're corrupt. They've said Sangat actually is the Khalsa. Why are they getting rid of Masands? Because they embezzled money and they misappropriated funds, and they had a reputation was giving bad name to the Sikhs. There are actually couplets in the text where it talks about this, that Sikhs are discussing that we need to get rid of these Masands. Most of them are giving bad reputation. Not all of them, but many of them. In fact, we have this available outside of the text as well, this text, that Guru Tegh Bahadur Pasha actually had, that's why left to Bihar, for Bihar from Punjab, because it wasn't clear the alliances of the Masands, allegiance of the Masands weren't clear whether they were for Guru or for the state. So all this is going on, and eventually what Guru is saying is for the Khalsa, that Khalsa is directly of the Gurus and is personal to the Guru. Khalsa is not like any other things. There are comparisons made about Rajputs and Afghan warriors and other things, and it very clearly in this text says they're not just warriors. They're not the elites. They don't have the caste identities. All these things are countered in the text. And the term which are used within Sri Gur Sobha are Sikh, Khalsa, and Singh. There is no mention of the word Nihang or Akali. This is just for trivial purposes, as well as when we get into the later sources, those who are interested. So that's what we are learning about the Khalsa. Khalsa replaces Masand is a major thesis of this. And those lines I've given, so for example, it says 117 to 22, those are the verse numbers. And in those verses, they're directly showing how these things are, why the Khalsa is also mentioned. It's essentially to free humanity is the purpose of the Khalsa, mentioned in several verses. For example, the last one, if you look at it, 130, 31, 48, and 162. Okay. So major thesis is Khalsa has replaced Masands, because when the issues of successorship comes, when we look at in the post-Guru Gobind Singh period till now, there are still people continuing with certain ideas of who really is a successor of the Guru. This is very, very important to understand. Now, I want to focus a little bit about how Sangat is the Khalsa, because this idea is not fully understood or maybe debated even today, as I was referring to earlier. And I picked one passage out of a verse, which actually is in the form of a paudi. And the way he has written it, he says, So satsangat na mile. This is verse number 174. And in this paudi, he says, actually, it says, Satsangat mool na janni, gyan hor kamaya, oye satsangat so na daren, un man garbaya, so satsangat na mile, un janam gavaya, hukum na mane khasam ka, jin raho bataya, ji, oye kapti hoye na khalsa, keta samjhaya. He's saying, Satsangat mool na jani, don't know eternal Sangat's essence, seek other wisdom. So people who don't understand the Sangat and they're looking for other wisdoms, they aren't reverential of the Sat Sangat, eternal Sangat. Their minds are full of pride. Those who do not confront or address or meet the eternal Sangat, they're losing their lives. They don't follow Khasam, owner husband's hukum, the one who possesses you. And this also has this ideas of how in Gurbani also that we are there to wed the Guru. So the husband idea and the owner idea, the Khasam comes a combination of those two. He says they don't follow the owner husband's hukum, which actually shows the path. Yet, yes, G, those deceitful aren't the Khalsa. And we have tried to explain. Keta samjhaya. That this is so clear. That Khalsa is the one who is understanding the wisdom of the Guru. Khalsa is the one who is not full of pride and arrogance. Khalsa is the one who actually comes in the Khalsa Sangat. Khalsa is the one who is marrying and considers the Guru to be the owner and the husband. And they are not deceitful. Exact line is Ji, oye kapti hoye na Khalsa, keta samjhaya. So the point here is Khalsa cannot be the way we also present it in today's pictorial forms or in ceremonial forms, or in Nagar Kirtans. Khalsa is much, much more. Khalsa is of Guru Gobind Singh. And this is where the qualifications are coming through. The criterias are coming through. The love relationship is coming through. The personal intimacy wedding is coming through. All those things, they create a Sangat, and that kind of individual, these individuals, this collective is called the Khalsa. A little bit on the Rahat now. Rahat, there are several verses on it, and I'll explain more. I've just listed few, and I will pick a couple to talk about it. But one thing I want to mention here, that Rahat actually means lifestyle. And I'll talk about what Padar is, that excuse me, if you don't meet the Sangat, then you really aren't in this form of what we will consider Sangat nu je mil nahi rahe. If you're not in the Sangat, if you're not in deliberations, in conversations, in vichar, without hair or hukka, and naam, ardas, and jap, these words are used. I do want to mention something very quickly. No Turkani, when it is talked about, this is a little bit, it requires a separate understandings. What we need to understand is Turkani refers to people of Turkish descent, which generally refer to the Mughals. Sikhs were in confrontation with Mughal armies as well as the Hindu Hill Chief Raja armies. But the point is, rape was considered, and it still is, a tool which is used by people who claim to be soldiers. So when it comes into the Khalsa practice, this is not a discrimination against Muslims. The idea was, when you are fighting and because people used to capture their women and they used to make them slaves, and sometimes had them. I mean, you can see this even in the movies which come out, whether it was Padmavat or something else, when you talk about what has been going on in South Asian traditions or worldwide. Idea of no Turkani was actually in this context, that there is no revengeance. There is no vengeance by marrying them or raping them. So this is just a side note. Now, so what is in the Rahat? So let's talk about how the Rahat is described, because, the Rahat is not just the way we look at only do's and don'ts. The Rahat actually starts with, what do you really believe in? Your internal composition. And in that composition, in your development, in fact, the actual body, 179, it says, Kar Kirpa Gobind Naam Kino Maya. Oh bad bhagi jug mahe naam jin jap laya. कले कूड़ तनते गया निर्मल भये शरीर जो जन तज अभिमान sant sarni paya. Who is going to come to take refuge in the Guru, the Sant, the truth exemplar? He says, be compassionate, Gobind, give me the Naam. This is referring to Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj. They're fortunate in the world who recite the Naam. All afflictions vanish, trash, filth leaves the body becomes filthless, being becomes reverential, the whole existence becomes reverential. Nirmal Paya. Yes, those people reject pride. They take refuge in the truth exemplar, the Sant. As the Sant comes in Guru Granth Sahib, the idea of Vaisakhi kinu changa lagda, as it says in Guru Granth Sahib, ja Sant peta har soe. So that Sant is referring to, and that Sant is invoked right here, talking about Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj is the Sant. That I take refuge in you because you're going to give me Naam which will take care of the filth in my body. Oto pehna main keh raha. The filth within. The first Rahat is to get rid of filth within. And this is what Guru is giving us and asking us to do. We take sanctuary in the Guru, refuge in the Guru. And what happens then? Then what happens is, as described in this particular 249 verse, that freedom ideas are discussed now. Freedom from what? Well, excuse me. It's a desire to be free while forgetting the Khalsa. Now, remember, Khalsa is the Sangat. So this is, how can you expect to be free if you are not ready to become part of the Khalsa, if you are not in the Sangat of the Khalsa? So this is saying, desire to be free while forgetting the Khalsa. Know that now it will never happen. As a fish loses life without water, one is known to be a fool without Gur Shabad. Again, the Shabad is invoked. As bow without a string can't release an arrow, look in the mind for wisdom, recognize as such. One who lives without rahat is like a fool whose ears hear Guru's teaching but don't follow. So what is being said here? What is being said is, Khalsa bisar ke udhar kyun chahat hai? कहते Khalsa याद नहीं, मतलब Khalsa as presented in this text, not our contemporary understandings, as I've already said. So Khalsa bisar क्या है? उधार क्यों चाहत है? उधार is freedom, उद्धार जिन्हों से कहते हैं. सो तो अब कहूँ नाहे, ऐसे कर जानिए, जैसे कर मींद छीन नीर बिना तजय प्राण, ऐसे गुर शब्द बिना मूर्ख बखानिए, चिल्ला जो नाहे कमान, कैसे के चलावे बान, मन में कर देख ज्ञान ऐसे पहचानिए, चलनी जो रहत छान, मूर्ख है ता समान, सतगुर के बचन कान, सुन के ना मानिए. This is the kabit. The kabit which is saying, lifestyle is when you bring the Shabad, and the Shabad will help you become free. So if you want to be free, how can you not be Khalsa? It will never happen. This is the command of the Guru and the lifestyle which the Guru is giving, how the Gur Shabad helps us become free. And without having this lifestyle, you cannot become free. Let's get into, there was a comment earlier which I had shared from one of the verses that not everyone followed. So who are the people who did not follow? So let's talk about this. Who are the non-participants when Khande ki Pahul? Pahul is the word which is used here, which we now call Amrit. Amrit has multiple meanings, but we will focus on the word Pahul. The idea of Pahul, the Khande ki Pahul is the word used several places. Pahul is repeated over and over. And in that Pahul part, he says, Kar Pahul sab sangat chakhi, panch Sikh keo sakhi, Khatri Brahman do rahe nirara, un apne man mahe bichara. This is very important to understand. We hear these references and it's recorded very clearly. All sangat, sab sangat, chakhi, drank, pahul, kar pahul. Pahul is Khande ki Pahul. It's described in other places. He says, everyone who had come, who remained, the word is sangat being saying. So there were people who came from everywhere. Remember that verse I shared? And then those within those who came, who became the sangat, sangat became the Khalsa. This is why all sangat drank the Pahul. So you might be wondering, cynics like me might wonder, how can, if there were 70, 80,000 people, how did it happen? He says, panch Sikh keo sakhi, 5 and 5, which means the groups of 5 Sikhs witnessed it, which means they initiated them. But there were some Khatris and Brahmans who remained distant. Khatri Brahman doi rahe nirara. Because they were reflecting in their own mind, as a Brahman, how can I not padar? Padar is the ritual shaving of head. By which method to achieve praise in the world, which basically is saying, like, I am known in the world, I have my own praises. If I don't do padar, who's going to ask me? In this there were many doubts. Karanhar ke bachan pulane. Karanhar is referring to Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj. They forgot the teachings of Karanhar because they started debate in their own minds. They remained distant. What's implied here is both Khatris and Brahmins, meaning some Khatris and some Brahmins who were pride of their. Remember, the Khalsa has to give up the pride. Those who were proud and were looking for their own angles. And an element of this is described in great detail. There was an incident in Delhi. So when the Amrit Sanchar happened, or what we call Khande Ki Pahul on the Vaisakhi day of 1699 happened, people came from different cities, remember? Then they went back to different cities. And obviously there are going to be issues, just like we see there are issues. And at that time, there's a lot of detail given about an incident in Delhi. In fact, in Mahalleda, it even mentions the people involved, how many Sikhs, which authorities. But what we do need to know is when some of the people came back from Vaisakhi day of 1699 at Anandpur Sahib, Some of them were from Delhi. They came back to Delhi. And when they came back to Delhi, they shared with the Sangat what had happened. And at some point, there were two factions in the Sangat. And the factions were Khalsa versus Brahman Khatri. The oppositions, generally people who opposed the Khalsa in Delhi in this one particular incident, they were very wealthy. They did not like that the idea of case. Remember the padar part, that the ritual shaving of the head. He says, you know, we don't we like we're not liking this case part, this hair part, quote unquote. And then it says one day there was a discussion at a gurdwara, you can say, or a dharamsal, and it eventually ends up becoming a quarrel. Somebody who was saying this case is not necessary was asked to leave from the Sangat. There was a boycott of the Khalsa. Khalsas were usually employees in the shopkeepers, the traders. So they striked. When they strike, there was economic hardship. It went to the ruling authorities of Delhi, Hakam, and then the businessmen bribed the rulers. They were in opposition to this, and at some point it describes it became Khalsa versus the world. But then authorities, they all produce their own fives. You know how we create our own Panj Pyare, so you know their own leadership, let's say, call it. And authorities sided with the opposition, which means the Brahmin Khatri traders. But eventually, at some point, authorities said, open some shops. They listened to the reasonings, and details of this reached to Anandpur Sahib. And then Guru spoke about it, and then all the Sangats found out, and there was a resolution. The point is, the incidents happen. They happened at the time. When Khalsa was revealed, there was the incident as well in Delhi. And let's look at some elements of that incident. So what is happening? Well, the exact verse says, Ketak kahat bachan at pari, Kula karam chutat byohari. Ketak, many said teachings are too heavy. Guru's teachings are too much. I don't know if I can do this, is what we'll say. Why we cannot? Because Kula karam chutat byohari. How can we leave the customs which are related to lineage and karmic theories? Kul is lineage, family customs. Karams are karmic theories, the things which we have been asked to do for ages and ages. And then what did the other say? Ketak kahat ino mat kina. And some said, these guys who came back from Anandpur Sahib, who became the Khalsa, we think they made these things up. Because Eternal Guru never gave such hukum, referring to Sadguru Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj. So this discussion is going on. It's there's much more to it. So you know the conversations happen. As we say, if there's a conflict, people have their own opinions, and this was one of the opinions. That you know there are two major opinions I'm citing here. One was that these guys made up these rahat, and this is important because you know when academics study these things, they also have interesting ideas as to what rahat is, and we can get into it, but that's not the topic. But I'm saying even the Sangat members who were not present, who were not witnessed, or who did not participate in the Vaisakhi of 1699, they are also having similar thoughts. And the number one thought is, how can we leave the way we have been doing things? Kul karam. This is invoked over and over. My family has these rituals or these customs. My karmas are like this. This is invoked even today. And at some point, when this discussion is going on, when the Delhi Khatris, when they're talking to the rulers, they started saying, this is what we need, and which we might say today too, you know, we need something in writing, we need to get this from the authorities, things of that nature. So what are they saying to each other? Well, this says, the Dohra is actually, Jab lag likha hajur ka, aave sangat mahe, tab lag sab so mil raho, nahi karo kuch na hai. He says, until the writing from Hajur comes to Sangat, referring Hajur to the presence of Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj. He says, we all must remain together till then and don't do anything. And what should we do? Tab unhi jahaga ek dini, taha ikathi sangat kini, khuli baat sabne thehrai, sabso mel karo re pai. So they settled on, let's agree on a venue where all Sangat can meet. All settled on open discussion. They all came together as spies. So the idea is, they said, you know what, until we get something in writing from Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj, let's agree where we can all meet, maybe a neutral venue where, you know, because there already are two factions or two rats, as we might call it. And but at least for the time being, can we settle on open discussions and call each other pies? And then, Gyaras ek mel jab kina, यह उपदेश सर्व को दीना, पिता पुरखी है जो आई, hoye jo ai, so kariye aise batrai. So when they agreed to all this and when they met in this venue, one of the Khatri leaders said, this is my advice to all of you. How can we get rid of what the ancestral norms are? Pita Purkhi. So they met. They even given a date after agreeing to neutral venue. But when there's a discussion happening, at the discussion, the upper caste Khatri leader who identifies as Sikhs in Delhi gives his advice to all. He said, ancestral customs that have been continuing, follow them. And Pita Purkhi hai jo hoye ai. So kariye aise batrai. He said, that's what we should continue doing. So, people are listening because he's also in a leadership position. He says, many listened. Ketak ke sun manch te ai. Pali baat kini hai pai. Ketak kahyo rahat na hoi. Hum te baat na mane koi. So many listened and agreed in their minds and said, brother is sharing a good advice. But many said, this is not rahat. We can't accept this advice at all. So this is the conflict. Now, two things are going on here. One is when there's a conflict, they still figure out a way to meet and discuss and present their point of view. And they did that. And after doing that, one of the leaders of Delhi said, we cannot basically, his argument is, we cannot get rid of our ancestral customs. So many listened to that, but many also said, but this is not what the Guru's Rahat is, and we cannot accept this advice. Anyway, these are just some selections to give an idea that these kind of conflicts were taking place at that time too. And then they went to the rulers when things went out of hand. And they went to the ruler, so they're making their cases. And one of the things they say is that when they met the ruler, Mil hakam te baat banai, inho raha ek nahi chalai, kula karam ke marg tyage, kya hai chal aur imlage. He says when Khatris met the ruler, they constructed a narrative, which means this is our story, that these guys have started a new path. They have abandoned, again he uses the word kul karam, kula karam ke marg tyage. So when you went to the authorities and they said, what's the problem? They said, the problem is these new guys, they have started a new thing. They're telling us to abandon our kul karam and they're going a different path. And what else they do? These new guys, because it is new, Vahaguru ka Khalsa kehat sakat mil soe, pucho ine suchet ke, jo tumre man hoye. He says, I want you to ask these guys, you are the emperor. You are the emperor in Delhi. But, oh, sorry, I'm skipped the line. He says, when they come together, when they join, they meet and say, Vaheguru ka Khalsa. So I want you to carefully ask these guys what really is in this mind, because remember what the Khalsa means. Khalsa means something which is directly of the king. And he says, Padsha Dilli pat soi, kehat Khalsa tato hoi, tomai Khalsa kya pattara, so bid kahiya soch vichara. He says, emperor is Delhi's ruler. So Padsha, which means Khalsa, should belong to the Delhi's rulers, because Khalsa is something directly of the king or the ruler. He says, these guys say they have a different Khalsa, Vahaguru ka Khalsa, but you are the ruler in Delhi, and they must say that they are your Khalsa. But these guys are saying, what is your Khalsa? They're asking about some other Khalsa, and I want you to ask them, and they should deliberate on it and answer these questions. Are they Vahaguru ka Khalsa, or are they your Khalsa, meaning Delhi's Khalsa, which means Khalsa is something which directly belongs to the king. Anyway, this discussion is going on, and they respond. They respond. The Sikh response is, So Satgur kiyo dur sab, param jot nijtar, sagal Sikh bhai Khalsa, suniya sach bichar. Sorry, I skipped the Punjabi verse. Let me read that too. He says, Tab Sikha ne hai baat batai, Sadgur Purkh maha sukhadai, aage jinke naib hote, nav masand sagal the jete. He says, then Sikhs explain this matter. Satguru, the eternal Guru, is most compassionate being. Earlier, the Satguru used to have deputies, the Masands, but here the word used is Naib hote. Naibs are deputies, you can say, or the leaders. He says, but now they're gone. They were named Masand, these deputies, but now the eternal Guru has ended them. He is the only light. He is the one who gives the light and the sovereignty. And he has made all Sikhs the Khalsa. This is the true account. This is our version, the true version, as they're responding. Anyway, this kind of conversation is going back and forth. There is a resolution at some point, as I mentioned, and I do want to mention when the resolution happened, it's actually described in quite detail. And the way it's described is the markets which were closed, how they have been opened, and सब मजीद खोल कर दीनी तभी सुलह आपस मोकीनी हाटे खुली पयो रोजगारा पयो आनंद क्रोध जब मारा. He says the entire market opened, a compromise ensued amongst them, shops opened, they earned a living, bliss occurred when the anger dissipated, which is very important here. Payo anand, क्रोध जब मारा. ਜੇ क्रोध ही नहीं मारांगे तो आनंद कित्थों आ जाऊगा. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਫ੍ਰੀ ਵੀ ਹੋਣਾ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਜੇ क्रोध ਵਿੱਚ ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਆਨੰਦ ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਆ ਜਾਊ. Says कि रोजगार, the trade started, people earning their living. The reason there is bliss is because the anger is gone. मिल आपस में बहुत सुख कीना. They meet each other, they feel the joy. Why? अधिक हेत आगे ते चीना. Now the love is much more than the before. Because earlier there was a declarations of love. Now they worked, even whether they bribed the state or whatever they did, they had their own versions. Eventually, when they agreed, there is more love. They're feeling the love. This is why they like each other and meet each other, and anger is gone. And when happens, फिर Sikh Sangat mein aaye. Then the Sikhs came to the Sangat. The ones who were opposing the Khalsa, they also came. Many came, and their crimes forgiven. In fact, the word used is guna. Ketan aahe guna baksai. And this is very important to understand. This is what the current Ardas version also says, that once we have solved it, we're not going to remind each other of what. So everything is forgiven. Tab Sikhan on liyo milai, pher chal darsan ki ai, dar darsan ko Sikh sadhaye, pahe anand prabhu gun gaye. They all said it is time to go to the dar for darshan. Let's go to the gateway of the Guru. Let's go meet the Guru. And they all are singing the divine virtues. Prabhu gun gaye. They want to go meet the Guru. This is everything is resolved. Let's all go to Anandpur. And what happens? Because many had written things against us. Tinko liyo milaye, jine likhat likh daye, Satgur ko pratap, pher Sikh darsan gaye. He says those who had signed petitions against the Sangat, the Khalsa, those Sikhs were also united back. And this is the pratap of the Guru. Guru's majesty is this, that all Sikhs came for the darshan again. So this was the resolution by listening to the Guru's advice and the Guru's rahat and the things we get into. This is not part of the chapter, but I'm going to finish in the next 7 minutes. I just want to share the day before Dasme Patsha leaves this earth. So my focus was on those 3 chapters, what Khalsa is, what Masands ideas are, but I want to share how Sainapat captures before the Guru leaves this earth. And what he's writing is, Ek divas karan te aage, milke singh puchan lage. In quotes, Kavan roop apan prab kino, tinko jawab paat eh dino. He says, one day before departing ahead, Singhs together asked, what form you divine, referring to Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj, will take? Thus answered in this manner, which means the Guru answered in this manner. And in quotes, or before a quote, he says, Vahe samay gur bain sunayo. At that time, the Guru spoke these words, Khalas apno roop batayo, Khalsa is my form. Then he says, Khalsa hi so hai mam kama, baks kiyo khalas ko jama. Khalsa is my life. I bestow my form to the Khalsa. Jama, Jama is clothes, referring to the body. Khalas mere roop hai, ho khalas ke paas, aad ant hi hot hai, khalas hi mein baas. Khalsa is my form. I am with Khalsa from beginning to end. I reside in the Khalsa. This is how he captures. And the last thing I share with you is he continues. And he continues to say who really is the Khalsa and who is Khalsa with. He says, Khalas khas kahave soi, jaake hirday param na hoi. No Khalsa to be special whose heart has no doubts. No doubts. Param pe ekhte rahe niara, so Khalas Sadguru hamara, free from doubts and pretense. Our eternal Guru is the Khalsa. This is Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj saying. Satguru hamara, Apar apara, sabad bichara, ajar jari, hirday tartyani, uchri bani, pad nirbani, apar pari. This is a Lotan Chand. When he says, this translation is not doing any justice, but just to get you some ideas, he says, our eternal Guru, transcendent Guru, Shabad reflecting, constant, heart contemplates, utters Bani, achieves freedom, and is limitless. It is much more beautiful in Lotan Chand. Satguru Hamara, Apar Apara, Sabad Bichara, Ajar Jari, Hirde Tartyani, Uchri Bani, Pad Nirbani, Apar Pari. And the last part is Gatmit aparang, bahubistharang, varna parang, kya kathanang. Tav jot prakasi, sarv nivasi, sarv udasi, tav saranang. The movement and measure of the Khalsa is infinite. They are very vast. They are beyond reckoning. They're impossible to describe. Your light illuminates them. Your Guru Gobind Singh's. They live in all, detached from all. Seek your sanctuary, which means Khalsa belongs only to Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj or Akal Purkh. This is how a day before Guru leaves says about the Khalsa and says Guru Khalsa as a successor. Quickly, there are other observations which on the text, this volume, that this text is actually establishing the authority of all 10 gurus. And when academics say that this is orthodox view, this is actually the Sikh view based on the internal evidence of Guru Granth Sahib as well as this text. This text invokes no home or no Devi. Those versions are found in other places. So this is saying there is no yag or no home Guru Gobind Singh is doing. He's not invoking any Devi or goddess. This text is very clear, Khalsa is the Sangat. This text is also very clear that Khalsa is not something which is a rupture or contradiction. Khalsa is a continuity. Because rupture and contradiction I put in quotation marks because a lot of academics write that, especially the Western ones. And it establishes the authorities in the Guru Granth Sahib and in Guru Khalsa Panth. When Sainapat is in his second last chapter and he's eulogizing the Guru, he in fact says, it's very interesting. He repeats this line multiple times. And why I want to share this is because this is the only line which has been repeated so many times. And the context of this is that Sainapat is expressing the aspiration of the Khalsa to Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj, and he's repeating this like this. The exact line is, Pal Bhag Paya, Tum Tahe Kaho, Gad Anand, Pher Basavenge. 8 times. This is repeated in 8 different stanzas. And these are part of Savaiya quatrains, in Savaiya style of writing the poetic genre in chapter 19. So the line again is, the meaning is the good fortune has been realized. We proclaim this to you. So Sainapat is saying on behalf of the Khalsa to Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj that Anandgarh will be re-established. Pal Bhag Paya. Tum Tahe Kaho, because this chapter is written after the Dasme Pasha is gone and is talking about Sikh aspiration, the Khalsa aspiration. Pal Bhag Paya, Tum Tahe Kaho, Gad Anand, Pher Basavenge. The sources I have used for this, I have sort of listed. Many are in English, many are in Gurmukhi, Punjabi. Gurmukhi I'm saying because that's the script, the language varies. Not all of these are direct translations, but they are references which these writers have used, or they have either edited a work or translated a work. And they are very, very important to understand the previous slide, why there are tensions with this text, why sometimes this text is not talked about at the level it needs to. It is probably the most important text, if you ask me, from a traditional and historical perspective, which is focused on the principles of the Khalsa and particular events which are in line with the Gurmat principles, and that started in 1701 and ended, I feel, somewhere 1708, maybe 1709. So if you're interested, all these individuals have done some works related to it or commented on it or have used it to construct their theses, which is not necessarily in line with Guru Granth Sahib's thesis. So I end with this. This is the Anandgarh. Anandgarh will be re-established is how Sainapat repeats the line and proclaims this to Guru Gobind Singh that the Khalsa will do this. This Anandgarh fort was very much alive until 1960s. Today, it has been completely demolished. We have a lot of work to do to re-establish the idea of Anandgarh, which towards the end of this text is synonymous with Anandpur, which is synonymous with Khalsa sovereignty. Gurvinder, if there are any questions, I'm done with the presentations. We have roughly 20 minutes for Q&A and comments.
Sounds great, Ji. I sent a few questions in chat, but let me just go to the top of that. So Manjeet Singh from Seattle has two questions. How many other contemporary poets of Guru Gobind Singh's granths currently exist? And the second question, how would you compare Sri Gur Sobha with Bhai Nandlal Ji's work, which is permitted in Kirtan per Sikh Rehat Maryada?
The first one, the Granths part, you obviously know what is available from Bachittar Natak angle. It is debated whether it's Guru Gobind Singh's or not. So let me actually answer this from two perspectives. There are multiple Granths. About 17 of them are considered, according to Bacan Singh Nabha, which are secondary texts. This is considered contemporary texts. There are some which are near contemporary, or many which are written later based on the oral traditions. So some poet writings do exist. Bhai Nandlal would be one of them, but there are at least 6 or 7, and those Granths are not available, but some poetic versions are available. There are at least 3 more Granths which are brought out in as a contemporaries, but those need to be understood in their own capacities. What is called Bachittar Natak, which is extrapolated within Dasam Granth. There is Sarvlo Granth, and there are Parchiya tradition, there are Sakhiya tradition, and things of that nature are available. On the second question, I did not go into comparing this, but I can share this with my earlier readings of Bhai Nandlal's works, that Bhai Nandlal is providing his work is more in what we will say, and like I said, this Granth is more focused on history as well as tradition. Bhai Nandlal is more focused on poetics, ideas, as well as intimate relationships. So there, Bhai Nandlal obviously is very, very important because it is through Sikh Rehat Maryada mentions one of the Granths which is allowed for kirtans and other things. This Granth has not seen as much light in the Panth. Scholars have been doing it. Some activists possibly are aware of it. One of the hopes is that those who are attending this webinar and those who are reading maybe will delve into studying this more as well.
Thank you, Harinder. I'm just going through a couple of other questions. Quick question from Sangatyan Kaur. Which English translation or text would you recommend to read?
That's why I showed that other slide. I don't like to I did not use either one. So let me just go back to this page. There are 2 English translations which are currently available. One is done by Professor Kulwant Singh. It's actually published by 2 different people. I showed both books. One was Institute of Strict Studies and eventually by Turiya Foundation. The complete ones, they're incomplete ones other people have done. The other complete one actually is part of a PhD dissertation of Amisha. So I would say those who are interested, they should look at both. But I also recommend you look at, if you have Gurmukhi text abilities, to look at Ganda Singh's edition, as well as Dr. Ganda Singh's edition, as well as Shamsher Singh Ashok's edition, because there is some variation in spellings and couple of verses as well.
There was earlier a question from Jaswinder about, he wanted clarification on the point of no Turkani, about not getting revenge or rape. I think we need to elaborate, and in what context Kavi Sainapat wrote them.
Right. So I had mentioned that it wasn't not in the context of this text. That was something I added because when people are talking about Kurahats, that is under a lot of discussion in some circles. That was a side comment. As I said earlier, it was not in the context of Kavi Sainapats.
And then similar question about which Punjabi translation is good to read, but I think you have it on the slide, so I'll let you read to that briefly or touch to that.
Yes, there is no Punjabi translation per se. There are two editions. They're both in Gurmukhi script. They both, the language is mix of Punjabi and Braj, more Braj. Some, I would say, if you look at the notes of the two translators, they have actually said it's been very tough. When I was doing this in last month, it is tough, but I think if you have dictionaries and you have some understandings of those languages and some Sanskrit background, it is not as hard. The context becomes hard because these words we have to understand in their context.
Thank you. There was a question from Amarjot Gill. He says, he's from India, so he says, here people went to Delhi Emperor telling Khalsa should be yours, but Khalsa say they belong to Akal Takht. Should it be the case in present day? As I'm being from India, people say mostly that first Indian, then Sikh, but it shouldn't be first Sikh, then everything later. How do you counter that?
Yeah, well, Amarjot, thank you for asking this. This actually applies to every nation states we live in because this is being discussed in America, Canada, UK, and wherever the Sikh diaspora is. I think it's a very important question. In my citation, what I tried to do was give you enough details from that incident that this is a discussion we need to have. And I think this discussion does not happen enough. We are at a precursors of this discussion in contemporary realities, and we need to become nuanced and we need to go back to the ideas. This was one of the reasons I actually included this incident on purpose, because it is beginning to be talked about, but we are actually not getting into it. So according to the text, this has been a debate since the Vaisakhi day of 1699. And then the choice is those who consider themselves to be in the Sangat of the Guru or the Sat Sangat or Sangat being the Khalsa, they eventually, the agreement is that the state is not the Khalsa, is not the ruler for them or the Patsha for them. That's the term used. The Guru is the Patsha for them. That's the ideal for us. And then how do you practice this has been something which each generation historically also debated and figured out what they need to do, but ideals are very clear according to this text.
And then Amrik Singh from San Francisco had said, Gur Sobha seems to show that Rahit injunction was against Padran rather than a blanket ban against cutting case as we know it. Which one is it?
I actually didn't follow. Can you tell me that again? I was distracted a bit.
Sorry. The question was, Gur Sobha seems to show that the Rahit injunction was against Padran or Padran that you had mentioned.
Padar.
Padar. Thank you. Rather than a blanket ban against cutting case as we know it. So which one is it?
Right. So Padar word is mentioned, but as I actually showed in the text, let me see if I can go back to that line. When it's described, it does not say just Padar. It actually says beard and the translation which it actually used the word, and I'm trying to go back to it to find it said hair and beard both. Padar was something which the Khatri cited when they did not want to join, because that was something against their kul or their karam. So here is the line from the Hokum. When the Guru is giving injunction, it says, don't smoke hookah, don't shave head and beard. So Guru does not use those words as the Hokum is coming. But when the Khatris were citing that word, because that was their custom.
And then another question from Rick was, in Naam identification, is the reference to Gobind a reference to God or a reference to Guru Gobind Singh?
Oh, wonderful. So let's go back to that. Let me go back. In this case, they're asking, here it is. Oops. In this case, they're asking the Guru Gobind. Guru Gobind Singh no keh rahe ne, be compassionate Gobind, give me the naam. Because the context of this was, let me see if I can go to the original one and give you more detail, because this is very important. Theologically, at least it is, for those who are wondering about how naam, the systems of naam. So it says, Kar Kirpa Gobind, Padi hagi hai. The poetic genre is Padi here. Kar Kirpa Gobind, Naam Kino Maya. Oh Vadbhagi Jugmahe, Naam Jin Jap Laya. So they're asking, the way the context is written is, they're asking the Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj to be compassionate and give us Naam. Remember, the Naam is given by the Guru. That tradition is still maintained. This is why there are multiplicities even now. Those who claim to be gurus of some kind tell you that they will give Naam, whereas the Gurbani, it says Guru gives Naam. So this is referring to Guru Gobind Singh, not Gobind, the attribute of divine.
Sounds great. Thank you, Ji. There was a question about that Guru Granth Sahib Ji is the ultimate source of guidance. However, as it's an historic account, are there any references from this work which can be used by the Panth to help guide us towards resolving the conflicting Radhas and the topics among them were keski, meat, etc., among other things?
Right. Excellent question. So I think I try to give a little bit of that details actually by picking again on the resolutions, how they were brought about and the discussions that took place. And one of the things essentially was that eventually the Guru matters. So the Guru today, this is what they said, Guru Gobind Singh is the Guru at the time, right? So the Guru matters, that today the Guru is Guru Granth and Guru Panth, which essentially means the guidance from Guru Granth Sahib interpreted by that Sangat Khalsa, which actually meets the qualifications of Naam, doubt-freeness, freedom, no pride and arrogance, things of that nature. And what happens is when we are discussing these days, it becomes either an academic exercise or a jathebandi exercise. We are not in a position to sit and deliberate in a manner which this text articulates and other texts have done. So I'm speaking to this text. This text is very clear that we need to understand how to deliberate and how to invoke Guru's orders in addition to not just our own practices. So if the Panth wants to resolve that, or people in the Panth who want to resolve these things, they need to get to that level of understandings behaviorally as well as in identification.
And Paramjit Singh was referencing, where do you buy the books that contain the original text in Punjabi?
Well, I sort of gave you the publishers, but let's go back to it. Let's see if I can give you a quick rundown. Okay. So Ganda Singh one, Punjabi University Patiala publishes. You can probably, if you're there, you can buy there, or you can try to buy them online. And the first two which matter here are, other one is Shamshur Singh Ashok. It's published by SGPC. It can also probably be bought online. Try Singh Brothers, they might have most of these books listed here. If not, you can do Google searches, Amazon, Amazon.in. I mean, I think in today's age, it's a bit of a moot issue. Many of these, not all, are available as free downloads if you're not too worried about copyright violations and what Google does anyway. Then you can find them on Sikh Book Club or Vidya and other Gurmat Vichar and other places as well.
Sounds great, Ji. Just a quick ones. This Gagandeep Singh from Brampton says, do we have Guru Granth Sahib Ji handwritten pothi in PDF format by Baba Deep Singh, for example, that you're aware of?
There is a whole debate on that. It's outside of the context of what we are discussing, but many versions are available, including the one which is under consideration in certain circles among Sikhs. I would say you can search on PDL, or you can talk to people who are working on textual studies of these things, both within the academic circles as well as the Panthic circles. They might be able to avail a copy.
Thank you, Harinder. I'll touch upon one last question by Manpreet Chadha, and it says, you described Khalsa as a continuity. Continuity of what? Because it's a different path to be followed?
No, continuity of the legacy of Guru Nanak through Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj. So this is why Khalsa is every Guru had an authority, and while they were alive, they declared who the next leader is, which means who has the authority. So Guru Granth and Guru Khalsa, Guru Granth Sahib and Guru Khalsa Panth is a continuity of the 10 Gurus. The Shabad was concretized in Guru Granth Sahib. The interpreters of the Shabad from Guru Nanak through Gobind Singh were concretized and given authority to the Panth, the Khalsa. So it's a continuity of the legacy of the gurus, is the ideas, or what is, earlier I had invoked the word light because this text also invokes it, and the sovereignty. Those are two words which this text uses, which in Guru Granth Sahib's form, if I'm going to go back to that, is Jot and Jugat. So Panth has Guru Nanak Sahib's legacies, Sahibs, which means all 10 gurus, as Jot and Jugat. In the
Sounds great.
past, so this describes the past, and it also says in presence, that's how it will be. I think this idea is hard for most of us to grasp and even harder to implement today, because the idea has been lost over the ages, because we do have not the Khalsa as a samu, as a sangat, as a collective being seen anymore. It's seen as individuals or sets of individual and particular groups. So the haze is created around it. And the irony is this text actually is completely free of mythological or individualistic haze. And perhaps this is one of the reasons why Sikhs don't study it anymore, or this gets undermined, because this actually is so clear as to what needs to happen. And Sikhs who are following the traditions, the Jot and Jugat models, completely agree with this and try to do it in their own capacities. The idea is, if more Sikhs become clear on this continuity of Jot and Jugat through Granth and Panth, given the authority as a guru, then there could be more clarities for Sikhs globally.
Sounds great. Thank you very much, Harinder, for the very informative webinar. And thank you for all your questions, and any apologies to those who were not addressed due to time constraints. We did cover a lot of questions, but you're more than welcome to ask on our Twitter handle or Facebook page, and we'll post replies. Please do be reminded that these webinars are provided for free, but there's a cost associated with technology and administration. If you feel you've benefited from this webinar or any others in the past, please consider making a donation to Sikri or becoming a webinar sponsor. More details can be obtained in a follow-up email, and you will receive by emailing to info@sikri.org. A reminder, please wait a few seconds for the survey link to come up. Your feedback is extremely important to Sikh Research Institute, and we appreciate your time. Now I'd like to hand it over to Harinder Singh for any closing comments. And as I end the webinar, on behalf of Sikri, I thank Harinder Singh and our e-Sangat today. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Our job is to re-establish Anandgarh. This is the legacy which, as a collective community, we need to work on. So think about how you can contribute to re-establishing the Anandgarh.
Thank you, Ji. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.